Coach, you need to unmute. Congratulations. We love the bling that you're wearing. Looks great on you. Why don't we go ahead and, as tradition, start off with an amazing opening statement, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Well, I love the start. I think we'll start there. If we hadn't fouled them, I thought our defense was as locked in as we could be, and made them take some really tough shots. I think they ended the half 7 of 7, and did what Ohio State does. That's a good basketball team. Congratulations to Chris. They're a great team, deserving of their top 10 ranking. They're a handful to guard, and they make shots at a high clip, and they did that tonight. And it took 6 guys in double figures and a couple of really good plays down the stretch to get a win. But elite college basketball game, just an elite college basketball game. Both teams played hard. Both teams were amped and geared up for a championship game. And I think everybody in the witnessed that, and everybody in the Big Ten, and everybody should be ecstatic with the way the Final Four games went in this and today's championship game. So big hats off to our bench. Our bench was huge. I thought they were the difference in today's game. And we'll 6 guys in double figures. We'll take that every single night. But Curbelo, big down the stretch. DeMonte Williams, huge down the stretch. And really pleased with the overall effort of our team tonight.
Okay, we'll start with Jeremy Werner, Robert Rosenthal on deck, Brandon Simberg in the hole. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Brad, there's this kind of dynamic moment where you guys are cutting down a net and getting, Big Ten champions awarded to you, but also you're a 1 seed and you get to see your draw live. What was that like to experience all of that in just such a short amount of time? Well,
I've said that one of the greatest thrills about the NCAA tournament, and I mean this, and you can call me old school if you like in this capacity. There's nothing better than hearing your name come across and be seen on the screen when it's called for the NCAA tournament. There's 353 Division I schools, 68 get in. And, this group has deserved that. They've got 19 wins against Big Ten opponents this year. I think we've got more quad 1 wins than most teams have played, quad 1 games. So it's awesome. It's just one of those moments, and to see it up there, especially after such a hard fought game, was a pretty special moment.
What is going through your head? Are you reflecting on what it took to get here, to get that net around your neck?
Absolutely. You think I've forgotten the Eastern Illinois exhibition game? I mean, and then to sit there and be on the, be standing on a ladder in the best league in Big Ten champions in terms in the best league in the history of college basketball. Man, I mean, you take all of that in, and it's a brief moment, and then we'll enjoy it tonight, and then we'll start. I don't even know our bracket. I know Drexel the first game, but I'll look at that beyond that. But what a great moment! What a great feeling.
Thanks, Brad.
Okay, Robert, you're up. Brandon Simberg on deck.
Coach, since you mentioned Eastern Illinois, I remember after that game you talked about why you started DeMonte and how he did little things and that you wanted him to be more aggressive. And you've talked about that for 4 years. So today, 30 seconds left in regulation, he's aggressive and puts the team up 3. Tell me about that moment.
I mean, again, he's a really good player. He's gained so much in confidence. He got it really going. I think he showed why he's one of the best 3-point shooters in the country in the first half. But again, if teams are going to not guard him, good luck. And he made them pay today, and he has stepped up in the last month in clutch times more than once. And I think that speaks volumes to the type of young man DeMonte is.
And then you mentioned the 6 guys in double figures, very balanced, 16, 16, 16, 14, 13, 10. What does that mean? What does that say about this team?
Hope it means we got a lot of good players, and you got to pick your poison. I thought they did a great job on IO tonight. Really loading up after the last game. It doesn't shock me that they weren't going to let IO try to beat him. Kofi did a tremendous job defensively on EJ, and yet got a little bit of foul trouble, and then it was Georgie, and it was the Georgie breakout party, and man, was he good. So 6 guys, we've got a lot of good weapons, and that excites me heading into next week.
Thanks.
Hey, Brandon Simberg, followed by Scott Ritchie. Go ahead.
Brad, what'd you see from Dwayne Washington today? Why was he so tough to stop?
He's really, really good. In my opinion, he's the best guard in this league at shooting off the bounce behind threes. And he's a good athlete. You pick your poison with them a little bit, and he did a great job today of finishing downhill. But he's got an unbelievably quick release, and if you're just a little bit late, he's going to make it. And he's done that all year. And in a championship game, I wouldn't expect him to be anything but what he was, which was terrific.
Yeah, Scott Ritchie, and then Marley. Go ahead, Scott.
Brad, Trent was the first player to climb up on the ladder and get a piece of the net. Did he just beat everybody up there, or was that orchestrated to get him up there first?
I think he wanted to be. He deserved to be. He's the young man that was sitting on the bench at the end of the Eastern Illinois game, wondering if he could play at this level. And that's a pretty dramatic turnaround in a young man's career, and he deserved that.
And you said your staff puts together folders on everybody. Did they already have Drexel ready for you?
Yeah, it's back at the hotel. I haven't got it yet, but it's ready. We had a pretty good idea of possible draws. So we'll, guys, I haven't thought 2 seconds about the tournament. So if anybody's going to ask me any other questions, we played Drexel. That's all I know, and I'm gonna enjoy the moment tonight.
Okay, Marley, and then Rob McCauley, and then Mark Pearson. Go ahead, Marley.
Coach, you guys have dealt with so much this season beyond what, a typical college basketball season would be, as far as COVID and getting up early and testing and just dealing with all the postponements. And in a moment like this, does it make it all worth it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and what people don't realize how many people it takes for us to pull this off. And we're just getting to the last chapter. So it was 8 nurses every morning seeing us. It was, Paul Schmidt, our trainer, there every morning, before we were putting labels on the tubes we spit in. And, you can go never ending with all this, let alone what the athletes and the coaches do. And so it's kudos to a lot of people. And it took a lot to get to this point, and I'm ecstatic. We're sitting here with a championship and headed into NCAA tournament, which is the last chapter, which we've all been working towards getting to.
And anything you can tell us about maybe the celebration plans tonight?
Yeah, there are none. I mean, we go into testing and we go into quarantine. So yeah, it's not like there's we're stuck, and by NCAA standards, we're stuck into a 24-hour quarantine. So it might be a steak ordered in with some shrimp cocktail from a certain restaurant, and it may be more than one shrimp cocktail, and there might be a really, really good glass of red wine somewhere in my plans this evening.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Enjoy the shrimp and the wine.
Good thing you're in quarantine, or there'd be a few of us coming over, Coach. Rob McCauley, Mark Pearson, Brad Sturdy. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too bad, Brad. If you missed it, the party is going to be at apartment 402 sometime in April. You talked to us about Dwayne Washington all year, and so we know how you felt about him long before today. Did you get a chance to tell him how you felt about him today?
You know, I didn't. After the game, that's one of the toughest things is, you know, one team loses and they're dejected, and he's an underclassman, unfortunately. But I'll make sure and I reach out to Chris, and I got a chance to talk to Luca yesterday, and you know, I'm just ecstatic that I can root for him now and not have to compete against him twice in the last 10 days is a bunch.
And in all of this season, now that you know, maybe the Big Ten is behind you, is today's game or Dwayne Washington's performance, you think, the best that you saw this year?
I think they're good. I think we've seen some, you know, we've had some moments where teams have gotten going. I go back to, you know, EJ in the first game. You know, they're just, you know, he scored 2 in that game, I think, or 4. You know, it was pretty nondescript, but you know, you got to pick your poison against them. They've got a lot of weapons, and they're a team that can make a deep run because of all those weapons.
Thanks, Brad. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mark Pearson, Brad Sturdy on deck. Go ahead, Mark.
Brad, how hard is it to win 3 straight games against 3 really, really good Big Ten teams, especially with conditioning and then what you guys have gone through this season?
It's not easy. It's not easy. That's probably the one thing that I'm the most pleased with. You know, you've got 2 top 10 teams yesterday. You've got a Rutgers team who had beaten us, and is another NCAA tournament team. You know, you just line them up in this league, and everybody's very good. And you know, it's not easy. There's no question. The physical is part of it. Adam Fletcher does a great job. Our guys are in great shape. You tried to monitor minutes. You know, we had a little lopsided game on the first night, so we kept Kofi's minutes down. But you know, there's no doubt. I think Io was a little bit gassed tonight, just having to guard like he's had to the last 2 nights, and then perform at the other end. So, you know, my hat's off to that locker room. Those guys were great.
Thanks, Brad. Enjoy it.
Brad Sturdy, followed by Joey Wagner.
Coach Io gets a lot of publicity for his scoring, passing, etc. But last night he goes on Wieskamp and shuts him down in the second half. And tonight he switches on to Washington and uses his length on him. Can you talk about his defense and how that, you know, contributed even on an off night offensively?
Yeah, he came into college with a reputation as a defender. And, you know, that's something that, because of all of his theatrics and heroics and everything else on the offensive end, sometimes gets lost. But, you know, both he and Trent and Adams turned into a great one. Cabello is growing and made huge plays as well. But, yeah, that gets lost because of all the other end. But, you know, I was a terrific defender.
All right, we'll go ahead, Joey, and then Derek Piper on deck. Go ahead, Joey.
Hey, Brad, I don't know how much of the Georgie Kofi comedy special you saw before you got to the Zoom here, but those two clearly have quite a bit of fun with each other. And Kofi was up when Georgie had his big stretch there. How do those two pull the best out of each other? I mean, it sounds like they spend quite a bit of time together.
Yeah, they go against each other almost every day in practice. And I think there's a mutual respect for him. You know, Georgie took Kofi under his wing day one when he got to campus. And you know, most guys that you're competing against for minutes and playing time, you don't do that, you know, and you don't want to be a part of that. And Georgie's embraced him and knows how good he is. And so that's, I'm glad I missed it, you know, but it sounds like, you know, somebody gave out an address that there's going to be a heck of a party at some point, but they're really close, and that's pretty neat. That goes without saying on our team.
And then you guys had Georgie stretch. Trent had 5 straight. DeMonte played well throughout. I mean, this is veterans who have really built this thing from the ground along with you making plays. What's that say about those guys and how big were those contributions?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason they're involved and still here and part of it. I mean, it's our culture, and those guys have worked. Those guys have earned the right to be able to make those plays because of how hard they work and what they've been through and the experience. And they kept saying in timeouts, nobody practices harder than us. This is what we're made for. This is what we do, and that's the truth. And now they've been around long enough to believe it and know that. So again, that's one of the advantages of being old or getting old.
Thanks, Brad.
Okay, Derek Piper, then Jim Matson. Go ahead, Derek.
Hey, Coach, you came here as a winner. You had 4 years as a head coach, 4 NCAA tournaments. The winning percentage was as good as anybody that started out. To go through the low points of a rebuild, what was key for you, or what comes to your mind as far as you personally to go from that point to this point now where the necks or the net is around your neck?
Having a great AD. Because see, what you guys got to understand is there's a lot of growing pains that go on in that process. And if you don't have somebody that allows you to grow so you can build your culture and get it right, it doesn't happen without that. I mean, we all live in a world of instant gratification and the microwave, and Josh was more than patient with all of us, and I got a great staff. It takes everybody, but here we are, and year 4, and I didn't know what, I don't know what the timetable is on the process, but I remember the Eastern game very well, and there were changes that had to be made, and you've got an athletic director that supports you and helps you. That's how that happens.
How much will that moment on the ladder be a motivator to get back and do it again next month?
It'll be part of it. There's no doubt. I mean, that's an unbelievable feeling. And I didn't think about that moment being up there in a month or trying to be. I thought about the Eastern Illinois game. And, this is what, that was a moment I was reflecting.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay, Jim Matson, then we're going to go to Puerto Rico before back to the Quad Cities. Go ahead, Jim Matson.
Hey, Brad, after I know you said you didn't look at the bracket, but after 23 straight games in the meat grinder of the Big Ten, how nice will it be not to play well-scouted Big Ten teams going forward for a while anyway?
I don't know. I haven't looked at Drexel yet. So it's you're good. When you get to the NCAA tournament, they're all good. And, you've got to prepare. It's different because so many tendencies of these teams and what they like to do. And it's just a matter of executing. And then so often it's about players making plays. And sometimes the players are just that good. They make plays, and no matter how well you guard them. But it'll be nice to look at somebody new. That's why I enjoy watching all the other games and when I got a spare moment and not watch Big Ten games, because I enjoy watching other people play.
And do you have a message for Illinois fans while you're having your wine and shrimp cocktail? A bunch of them were at the game today, but a bunch of them are celebrating throughout the state. You kind of talked about getting the program back where it belongs. What's kind of your message to Illini?
Thank you, first of all, for everybody who was here. That was an incredible atmosphere today. In a pandemic environment, that was unbelievable, and there was so much orange there, and we felt that. And for all the, especially the former players, my heart goes out because it's been tough for them, the last few years, and I'm glad we're back where they can pop their jersey and wear that with pride. And I've said it many times, Jim, we got the best fans in the country. And I wish everybody would have been able to see all of our games this year, but they couldn't. But I hope they're really proud of this group, and we're excited to make them happy and bring a championship back to Champaign.
Congratulations.
All right, we'll go to Puerto Rico and then back to the Quad Cities with Corey. Go ahead.
Coach Fidel Padilla, congratulations for just such a great win.
Thank you.
Playing the point guard position, it must be one of the most difficult positions ever. And playing a Big Ten, I can't even imagine. Can you take me to the process of maturity and resiliency that Curbelo has shown in this past game, especially in the clutch, taking over and having such an unbelievable performance? Can you take me to the process from day one all the way to now?
Well, the one thing about day one is Dre has never feared the moment. You know, I mean, his and I for lack of a better term, I use the it. He's got it. You know, he's got an alpha mentality. He's got a confidence, a swagger. You know, for him, I think it was more just learning the scouting piece. It was playing against size. It was seeing the different coverages. You know, in high school, a lot of times the game is so open, and he was just so good that he could go make plays, and he can still do that. But, you know, now it was creating the environment. I think it took him a little bit to adjust to that. And then defensively, you know, just being dialed in at that end. But he's matured. He's fearless. You know, he's going to be one of the best players in college basketball. He is right now, but he's going to be one of the best next year, and if not the best, in my opinion. So, you know, very talented. And he's got a wonderful personality and charisma that allows him to be great.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, Corey in the Quad Cities, then Matt Stevens and Charles Culpepper. Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, Brad, can you kind of talk about last season? You guys were on the cusp of breaking that drought of the NCAA tournament before everything gets shut down. You go through off season where you don't know if Io and Kofi are coming back. They do, and now you've earned a 1 seed this year. So what does that mean to get the 1 seed and do the things you've been able to accomplish this year?
It's gratifying. There's no doubt it's gratifying. I think that we felt like we were a team that could make a run last year. I think that all of the unknown that came with COVID has just made it more gratifying. I think it's helped embrace that, and it's helped me grow as a coach. I think it's helped our connectivity, our togetherness of our team. And you don't do that if you don't have good people as players, and we've got that. So yeah, I'm excited because last year is, you know, this is just as much a part of for Kipper Nichols, Andres Felice, those guys who didn't get to experience that. To get back here for those guys is really important as well.
Okay, Matt Stevens, Charles Culpepper. Go ahead, Matt.
Brad, 41 points off the bench today, and that's Georgie, DeMonte, and Andre. What do you feel like has led throughout this 29-game process to have guys accept roles and come off the bench like they do? Because, as you know, Georgie started games before Kofi got here. DeMonte started games in his career, and Andre thinks, you know, I'm a top 50 kid. I'm going to immediately go in and start games. What has led to that kind of, you know, a culture that these guys are cool with their role and cool with what they have to do off the bench for you?
Well, you guys know me well enough that I really don't get overly concerned with who starts. It's a matter of putting the jigsaw puzzle together and finding it so that you have nights like this where you get that kind of productivity, and no matter what's needed. It could be a defensive stop. It could be, you just can't go flat when, in my opinion, when you go to your bench, and you've got to be 8, 9, 10 deep. I mean, we're going to need Coleman Hawkins, in the NCAA tournament. And I feel great about Coleman's progress, and he's played a bunch, just a little different with matchups and so on in this tournament. But I work hard at that, and our guys buy into that. They understand that. They've accepted that, and, know that you can come in and hit game winners like they did and impact the game. And starting's just people clapping for you when they call your name to run out to the court. That's about all it means.
Then how competitive are your practices then?
Great.
It would seem like the second team thinks they can walk out and beat the first team on certain days.
There's a lot of days they do. And it's fun. It's what makes us good is that competition in practice.
Okay, Charles Culpepper, you're up. Gavin Good on deck, and then we'll finish up with John Supini to this amazing press conference. Go ahead,
Coach.
Charles.
When you watch your team play, and when you watch it celebrate the locked arms near the end and everything today, there seems to be a level of togetherness, connectivity, as you say, that would be considered really, really high, even among teams that win championships. Is that right? If so, how hard is that to attain? And do you think, and what's that like?
Yeah, it's really hard to obtain. And I've been fortunate to be around some really good teams and connected teams. What you have to have is guys genuinely like each other. They don't have to be best friends, but they've got to really like each other. They've got to care about, a guy like Georgie who has not been home. I mean, you guys think about that. Georgie hadn't been home. Ben has not been home because of COVID. You got to like those guys to be around them as much as you are and not have little petty things. And this group embraces each other. And so it's really refreshing to see. And I enjoy that a lot.
Georgie may not have been home, but he invited all of us to his U.S. home here in April. Gavin Good, you're up, and then we'll finish up with John Supini.
Brad, it took you about 26 years to get into the D1 coaching ranks. In that time, did you ever think you would get to a point like this?
Yeah. I mean, I had a saying when I was at SFA, dream big. And then I just rephrased it, said dream bigger. Well, I've always been that guy. And yet I've never been consumed with becoming a head coach in a bad situation I've worked with great people that help prepare me, and they all deserve a big hand, but absolutely. I've never feared or thought about not being here. I've just dreamt it. I've had good fortune. I've been very blessed. Good Lord's looked out after me, and here I sat. And I got a great wife, and that's the most disappointing thing is I can't celebrate with my wife and kids tonight. But yeah, I mean, has it been easy? No, but I've never doubted or stopped dreaming.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, we'll finish up with John Supini. Go ahead, John.
Hey, Coach. In 05, Illini fans overwhelmed the NCAA tournament with crowds. If they could do this over in Indy, if you could get a big crowd behind you, how could they impact your run?
A lot. You guys have got to see how the fans, how our guys play to those fans, how much fun they had with those fans, and it's one of the advantages of being a 1 seed. We're close, and there's no doubt. It does it ultimately determine the game? No, we got to go do our part, but it is really cool to see all that orange and getting on the bus and see all the attention in the crowds. Was fabulous, and there's no doubt it's impactful.
All right, thank you, Coach. That'll wrap up an amazing evening, and hope your shrimp cocktail is amazing as well. So appreciate everybody joining us today. Thank you, Coach. We'll talk to you soon about the NCAA tournament.
Thank you.